The night was cold, heavy with rain that shimmered like silver threads under the streetlights of the alien city. Neon signs flickered in strange languages, glowing pink and blue across the fog-filled streets. The city was alive but quiet, too quiet for such a big world. Far above the street, a narrow bridge stretched between two tall towers. The air smelled of metal and rain. On that bridge stood a lone alien woman, her pale skin reflecting the lights like wet glass. Her long hair clung to her face and her trembling hands gripped the steel railing. She whispered to herself in a low, broken voice, "It's better this way. No one will care." No one ever did. She was tall, elegant, and otherworldly beautiful, her eyes a faint silver glow that dimmed with sadness. She belonged to a species known for their grace and fertility. Every family wanted daughters who could continue their bloodline. But she was not like them. She was infertile, marked as useless, unwanted, and exiled from her community. Her name was Lyra. Rain hit her thin dress, cold and sharp, as she leaned forward over the railing. She watched the glowing canal far below, so far that the reflection of the city looked like a broken mirror. The thought of falling, of silence, tempted her. Maybe if she fell, she would finally stop feeling empty. But before she could move, a voice shouted from behind her, "Hey, stop! Don't do that!" She turned sharply. A human man was running across the bridge toward her, slipping slightly on the wet ground. His coat was soaked, and in his hands he carried 2 grocery bags. One fell, spilling fruit and bread across the pavement, but he didn't care. "Please," he said, breathing hard. "Don't jump." Lyra blinked in confusion. Her eyes focused on his face, a human face. Rough beard, tired eyes, maybe in his 30s. She had seen humans before. They were considered less evolved by her kind. Strange, emotional creatures who built small colonies on alien worlds. Why would one of them stop for her? "Go away," she said quietly, her voice shaking. "This is not your concern." But the man didn't stop. He stepped closer, his voice steady but gentle. "It is my concern. I can't just walk away while someone is about to end their life." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I have no purpose. My kind rejected me. I am nothing." He stood a few feet away now, breathing hard from the run. Rain dripped down his face, mixing with the quiet light of the city around them. "Everyone has a reason to live," he said softly, "even if you don't see it right now." Lyra laughed bitterly, her silver eyes full of tears. "A human trying to teach an alien about reason? You don't even know me." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said quietly, "I don't have to know you to care." Those words hit her harder than she expected. For a moment her grip on the railing loosened. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you care?" He sighed, taking a slow step forward. "Because I know what it feels like to lose everything. My wife died 2 years ago. Since then, I've wanted to give up more times than I can count. But I have a daughter. She's the only thing keeping me moving." Lyra's expression softened slightly. "You have a child?" He nodded. "Yeah, 8 years old. Smart, curious, too talkative sometimes." He smiled weakly. "She asked me tonight to buy her favorite fruit, so I was out late. Then I saw you standing there. You should have kept walking," Lyra said, her voice low. "I am not worth saving." The man stepped closer again. "That's not for you to decide." She turned away, shaking her head. "My people call me defective. They sent me here, away from them. I cannot bear life anymore." "And yet," he said, "you're still standing here fighting with me. That means a part of you still wants to live." His tone was calm, warm, like a father speaking to a scared child. Something about it made her chest ache. The wind blew harder. The rain grew heavier. Lyra closed her eyes and whispered, "I don't want to be alone anymore." "You're not alone," the man said quietly. And before she could step forward again, he reached out and grabbed her arm. The shock of touch broke her trance. His hand was firm but gentle, his warmth spreading through her cold skin. She gasped, her eyes wide, struggling weakly against him. "Let go!" "No," he said firmly. "Not tonight." For a long moment they stood like that, the alien woman trembling, the human man refusing to let go. Thunder rolled in the distance, echoing through the city. Finally, Lyra broke down. Her knees gave out and she fell against his chest, sobbing quietly. "I don't know how to live anymore," she whispered. He slowly wrapped his coat around her, holding her carefully as if she might shatter. "You don't have to know," he said softly. "You just have to try. one day at a time. She looked up at him, her silver eyes full of confusion and sorrow. Why would a human save an alien? She asked. Because, he said, pain doesn't care about species, and neither should kindness. The sound of sirens echoed in the distance, patrol drones scanning the area. The man looked around quickly. We can't stay here. They'll take you if they see us. Take me? She asked weakly. They don't ask questions, he replied. Come on, my home isn't far. You need warmth, food, rest, she shook her head. I don't want to burden you. He smiled a little. You won't. My daughter will be happy to have someone to talk to who isn't me. For the first time that night, Lyra gave a faint, tired smile. Your daughter? She must be kind. She's the kindest person I know, he said. Got that from her mother. Rain kept falling, washing away the tears from Lyra's face. Her eyes flicked once more toward the canal below, the place where she almost ended her life. Then she looked back at the human man holding her steady. Who are you? She asked softly. He smiled, adjusting his coat around her shoulders. Name's Eli, he said. Just a tired dad trying to get home before the soup gets cold. Her lips parted slightly. The warmth of his hand, the sound of his voice, the way he didn't look at her with disgust or pity, it all felt new, foreign but safe. Eli, she whispered, testing the sound of his name like it was something fragile. Then quietly she nodded. Okay, I'll go with you. Eli helped her stand, still holding her arm to keep her steady. Together they walked through the rain, away from the bridge, down into the neon streets. Behind them, the bridge lights flickered, then dimmed. No one else saw what happened there that night, how one human's compassion changed the path of an alien who had already given up. As they disappeared into the glowing mist, Eli said softly, You don't have to end your story tonight. And for the first time in years, Lyra felt something strange in her chest. Hope. The rain had slowed when Eli guided Lyra down the quiet street. Lights from the alien city glowed across the puddles, painting the road in colors of violet and gold. Lyra walked beside him silently, her wet dress clinging to her thin body. She didn't know where he was taking her, but for some reason, she didn't resist. They reached a small building at the edge of the human district. It looked old but cozy. Warm light shone from the windows, and the faint sound of laughter echoed from inside. Eli pushed the door open. Come in, he said gently. Lyra hesitated. She had never been invited into a human home before. Her kind believed humans lived in clutter, chaos, and noise. But when she stepped inside, she froze in surprise. The air was warm and smelled like bread and flowers. A small lamp glowed near the couch. Toys were scattered across the floor. There was a photo on the wall, a smiling woman holding a little girl. The same little girl now ran from the hallway, her bare feet pattering against the floor. Dad, you're late, she said, her voice soft and sweet. But when she saw Lyra, she stopped. Her big brown eyes widened. Whoa, are you an alien? Eli smiled. This is Lyra, she's a friend who needed help. The little girl grinned, her shyness fading instantly. Hi, Lyra. I'm Mia. Do you like cookies? Lyra blinked. She didn't know how to respond. I don't know, she said honestly. Mia laughed. Then you can try one. If you like it, it means you do. Eli sighed softly, smiling at his daughter's energy. He turned to Lyra. You can sit down. You must be freezing. She nodded slowly and moved to the couch, unsure how to act. She had never sat in a human's living room before. Mia disappeared into the kitchen and came back holding a small cookie in her tiny hands. Here, she said proudly. It's still warm. Lyra looked at it as if it were something sacred. She took a small bite, and for the first time in months, her lips curved slightly upward. It's sweet, she whispered. Mia giggled. That means you like it. Eli leaned against the counter, watching the two of them. For a moment, the house didn't feel so empty anymore. Later that night, after Mia went to bed, Lyra sat quietly by the small heater. Her wet dress was drying on a chair. She wore one of Eli's shirts. It was too big for her, the sleeves almost covering her hands. She stared at the glowing light of the heater, her mind still confused. You didn't have to bring me here, she said softly. Eli looked up from the table, where he was fixing a broken toy. I know, he replied, but I wanted to. Why? She asked again. Humans and my kind. We don't mix, Eli shrugged. Maybe that's the problem. Everyone keeps drawing lines instead of building bridges. Lyra tilted her head. Bridges? He smiled faintly. Like the one we met on. Some bridges are meant to connect people who'd never meet otherwise. She thought about that in silence. The warmth in the room felt strange, almost unfamiliar. You talk like you've lost someone, she said quietly. Eli stopped working for a moment. His eyes softened. Yeah, he said after a pause. My wife, her name was Sarah. She died during the evacuation war 2 years ago. Lyra's gaze lowered. I'm sorry, he nodded. She used to help refugees, alien ones too. She said pain doesn't belong to one species. Lyra looked up again, studying his face. You speak like her. He gave a small smile. Maybe, but I think she'd be happier knowing her words still mean something. The next morning, sunlight peeked through the blinds. Lyra woke to the smell of breakfast. Pancakes, fruit, and something warm. She followed the scent into the kitchen. Mia was already there, standing on a chair, trying to stir batter. Eli stood behind her, pretending not to notice the mess. When Lyra entered, Mia turned and waved. Good morning. You look pretty today. Lyra blinked, surprised. Pretty? She looked down at herself. Eli's shirt and her still damp hair didn't seem beautiful at all. Yes, Mia said seriously. Like a fairy. Eli chuckled. Careful, Mia, she might start flying away. Lyra smiled slightly, unsure how to respond. She sat down at the table while Eli poured the batter onto the pan. You cook? She asked. He nodded. Had to learn. Someone has to feed the monster. He winked at Mia. I'm not a monster. Mia protested, laughing. The laughter filled the room, soft and bright. For the first time in years, Lyra didn't feel like an outsider. She watched the small human family move with easy warmth, something she had never known. After breakfast, Lyra offered to help clean. She moved with quiet grace, washing dishes carefully. Eli watched her curiously. You don't have to, he said. I want to, she replied. It feels peaceful, he nodded. Then thank you. As she wiped the table, she noticed a photo frame lying face down. She picked it up. It was the same smiling woman from before, Sarah. Lyra studied her gentle eyes, her warm smile. She was beautiful, she said softly. Eli looked at the photo for a long time. She was. She believed that kindness was the only thing that truly makes us human. Lyra placed the photo back, her fingers trembling slightly. Your wife? She saved lives? He nodded slowly. Yeah, even when it cost her own. Lyra's throat tightened. You saved me too, he looked at her. Maybe we both saved each other. For a moment their eyes met. A silent understanding passed between them. Two lonely souls who had found warmth in a place neither expected. That evening, Eli left for a small repair job. Mia sat on the floor showing Lyra her drawings. Most of them were of stars, planets, and animals with wings. This one's you, Mia said, pointing to a picture of a tall figure with bright eyes. You have magic light inside you. Lyra smiled faintly. Magic light? Mia nodded. Dad says when people are sad, they forget they have light inside. But I can see yours. Lyra felt her heart ache at the little girl's innocence. She touched the drawing softly. Thank you, Mia. You're welcome, the girl said brightly. Will you stay with us? Lyra hesitated. I don't know. You should, Mia said firmly. Dad smiles more when you're here. Lyra looked away, her chest tightening again. She wanted to believe she could stay, but deep inside she knew her kind would never allow it. When night fell, rain started again, softly tapping the windows. Lyra stood by the glass, watching the neon lights outside. Eli returned, tired but smiling. He placed a small bag on the counter. For you, he said. She looked inside. It was a warm blanket. Her fingers brushed the fabric, soft and clean. You bought this for me? He nodded. Consider it a welcome gift. She looked at him for a long moment. No one ever gave me a gift before. Eli blinked. Never? She shook her head slowly. My people don't give gifts to those who can't give life in return. Something in Eli's chest twisted. He stepped closer, his voice firm but gentle. Then they're wrong, Lyra. You don't need to give life to deserve kindness. Her silver eyes shimmered again, not from sadness, but from something new. You always say strange things, Eli. He smiled softly. That's what my wife used to tell me. But their quiet peace didn't last. Late that night, when the lights were dim and Mia was asleep, a faint knock came at the door. Lyra froze. Eli stood up, frowning. "Stay here," he whispered, moving toward the door. The knock came again, harder this time. Then a voice, metallic and cold, "Open the door. We are looking for an unauthorized alien resident." Lyra's heart began to race. "They found me," she whispered. Eli looked at her. "What do they want?" "They'll take me back," she said, her voice trembling. "To the colony. They don't allow defectives to live freely." Eli clenched his jaw. "You're not defective." The door shook under another heavy knock. Eli turned back to her, his voice low but strong. "Go to the back room. Stay with Mia." "No," she said, shaking her head. "I can't let you get in trouble because of me." He looked her straight in the eyes. "You're part of this home now. I won't let them take you." The knocking grew louder. Shadows moved behind the door. Eli grabbed a metal tool from the table, his hand steady. "Whatever happens," he said quietly, "don't open that door unless I say so." Lyra stood frozen, torn between fear and something else, something stronger than fear. For the first time, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt protected. The night felt heavy, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Outside the small apartment, red patrol lights cut through the rain. The sound of boots echoed in the street. Inside, Lyra stood frozen, her heart racing fast. Eli pressed his back against the door, tightening his grip on the metal tool in his hand. The knocking turned to pounding. "Open the door," a cold mechanical voice ordered. "You are harboring a defective alien fugitive." Lyra's voice trembled. "Eli, they'll arrest you. Please, let me go. It's me they want." He turned sharply to face her. "No," he said firmly. "They want to take someone who's done nothing wrong. I can't let that happen." Another slam. The door rattled. Mia's sleepy voice came from the hallway. "Dad, what's happening?" Eli looked back quickly. "Mia, go to your room. Stay with Lyra." The little girl rubbed her eyes. "But now, sweetheart," he said softly, forcing a small smile. "Everything will be fine." Lyra took Mia's hand and led her back, but her eyes never left the door. Her chest tightened. She could not let him fight for her again, not this time. The door burst open with a crash. Two armored alien enforcers stepped inside, their glowing masks reflecting the kitchen light. One of them pointed a weapon at Eli. "You are under arrest for sheltering a defective," the lead officer said. His voice was deep and mechanical. "Stand down." Eli raised his hand slightly. "She's not defective. She's a person." "That creature," the officer hissed, "was banished by her species. She has no rights here." Eli took a slow breath. "Then she'll stay here, in my home, where she belongs." The officer's mask tilted. "You would risk your child for her?" That sentence hit Eli hard. His hands trembled, but only for a second. Then he said calmly, "She's already risked her life once. I'm just returning the favor." Before the officer could move, a small sound came from behind him. Mia had stepped out, clutching her small stuffed toy. Her eyes were wide but brave. "Don't hurt my auntie," she cried. The room went still. Lyra stepped in front of the child immediately, spreading her arms protectively. "Please," she said. "Don't scare her. I'll come with you. Just leave them." The officer raised his weapon, aiming at her. "You should have surrendered peacefully." Eli's voice cut through the tension. "She did nothing wrong." He swung the metal rod, knocking the weapon aside. A flash of light burst, a stun charge hitting the wall. Sparks flew, the air filled with smoke. "Run!" Eli shouted. Lyra grabbed Mia's hand and bolted toward the back door. Eli followed, pulling a small emergency lamp from the wall as light flickered through the haze. They ran into the alley. The cold air hit them hard, rain falling again like shards of glass. Behind them, the enforcers shouted, "Stop them!" Eli led the way through narrow streets, past broken vending machines and neon signs. His lungs burned, but he didn't slow down. Lyra carried Mia close, shielding her from the rain. Her heart pounded in her chest, but something inside her burned brighter than fear now. They reached the edge of the city, the same bridge where everything began. The rain had stopped. The sky was dark purple, almost ready for dawn. Eli turned to her, breathing hard. "We can't run forever," he said. "They'll find us anywhere." Lyra looked out across the bridge. "Then let's face them here." Eli blinked. "Here," she nodded. "This is where my story almost ended. It should also be where it begins again." He stared at her for a long second, then nodded slowly. "All right." Minutes later, the sound of engines filled the air. A hovercraft approached, lights bright as the rising sun. 3 enforcers stepped out, weapons ready. The lead officer raised his voice. "Lyra of the Verna line," he announced coldly. "You are guilty of violating your exile. Surrender now and we will spare the human and the child." Lyra stood tall. Her wet hair clung to her back. The blanket Eli had given her now hung like a cloak around her shoulders. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the early dawn. She looked calm. "No," she said. "I won't surrender." The officer tilted his head. "You defy your kind?" "I defy cruelty," she said softly. "I was born without the power to create life. But this human gave me something greater, a reason to live." The officer took a step forward. "You're an abomination." Eli moved beside her. "She's more human than most of us." The officer aimed his weapon. "Then you both will be treated the same." But before he could fire, a voice shouted from behind him. "Wait!" The patrol stopped. A small group of alien civilians had gathered on the bridge. Workers, travelers, people from nearby districts. They had seen the chase, the smoke, the human standing beside the alien woman. One alien, older and frail, stepped forward. "She has done no harm," he said. "Why hunt her?" The officer hesitated. "She is infertile. She carries no future for our people." Another alien woman shouted, "Then what kind of future are we if we kill our own for being born different?" The crowd began to murmur. Dozens of voices rose, some angry, some brave. "Let her be! She's one of us. Leave them." For the first time, the officer looked uncertain. His weapon lowered slightly. Lyra stepped forward, her voice clear and calm. "My people believe that only those who can create life deserve to live. But I have learned something greater. Life is not just born. It is given." She turned to Eli, her voice soft. "This human gave me warmth when I had nothing. A home when I was lost. A family when I thought I didn't deserve one." Eli looked at her, pride and sorrow mixing in his eyes. Lyra faced the officer again. "If you take me, you will only prove that mercy has no place among us. But if you let me stay, maybe our worlds can change." The officer said nothing. The silence stretched long. Then slowly he lowered his weapon completely. "Your life," he said quietly, "is no longer mine to take." He turned to his squad. "Stand down." The enforcers stepped back. The crowd began to cheer quietly, then louder. Eli exhaled, relief washing over him. Mia clapped her hands, smiling brightly. Lyra stood there, trembling slightly, but not from fear this time. She felt the first rays of sunlight touch her face. It felt like the universe itself was breathing again. Eli turned to her. "Looks like you won." She shook her head, smiling faintly. "No, we did." Later, as the sun rose higher, the 3 of them sat at the edge of the bridge. The city shimmered below, quiet and peaceful for once. Mia sat between them, swinging her legs. "So, Auntie Lyra," she said, "does this mean you'll stay with us forever?" Lyra smiled gently. "If your father will allow it," Eli laughed softly. "You don't need my permission. You already belong." Mia grinned and hugged Lyra tightly. "Then you're part of our family now." Lyra froze for a moment, overwhelmed. Slowly she wrapped her arms around the small girl. For the first time, the emptiness inside her didn't hurt. It felt full, warm, alive. Eli watched them quietly. He hadn't seen Mia this happy since Sarah's death. Maybe, he thought, saving Lyra had saved all of them in a way. Weeks passed. The story of the human and the infertile alien spread through both species. Some mocked it. Some debated it, but many found hope in it. New laws began forming. Laws that protected the unwanted, the exiled, the different. They called it the human rule. Every life has value no matter what it can or cannot give. Lyra became a quiet symbol of change. She began teaching alien refugees how to live among humans, helping them find peace in this strange new world. Eli continued his work, repairing machines and raising Mia. Every night when the lights dimmed, Lyra would sit by the window watching the stars. She often thought about that night, the rain, the bridge, the voice that pulled her back from the edge. Sometimes Eli would join her. He'd hand her a cup of tea, sit beside her, and say softly, "Still thinking?" She would smile faintly. "About the night I met a foolish human who wouldn't stop talking." Eli grinned. "And you still haven't thanked him properly." She looked at him with mock seriousness. "Maybe saving his life on a bridge counts." They both laughed quietly. Mia's small footsteps echoed from the other room, and soon she came running to sit between them, hugging them both. Family meeting? She asked with a smile. Lyra looked at her, then at Eli. Yes, she said softly. A family meeting. The three of them sat together, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. Outside the city that once seemed so cold now felt like home. And somewhere deep in her heart, Lyra knew the truth. She was not broken. She was not useless. She was alive, and the bridge that once waited for her to fall now stood as the place where she was reborn,